Hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Chat with Chithra. Hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Today, I have got some very special guests with me. This couple is incredibly influential and inspiring to many people. They are the embodiment of what Chat with Chithra aims to promote, which is music without borders. I have great pleasure in welcoming Shubhendra Rao and Saskia Rao-de Haas. Saskia, I've read about your inspiring musical journey, which said that you came in touch with Indian music in 1993. How did this happen? Would you say it was challenging to venture into this style of music from a Western music background?
And in the end, I never think music is difficult because it's how much time and practice we put in. So if it sounds difficult, it means we haven't practiced enough, right? Made it our own enough. And I think I was just at a time in our music history, so to speak, where it was not uncommon to learn Indian music in Holland or the UK or the US or Japan. By this time, I feel Indian classical music had already truly become a part of world heritage, almost in a way like Western classical music. So there has always been a choice in the kinds of music that were offered and the kind of concerts you listen to. And so it was not a strange choice or a very far away choice, as maybe earlier in time it would have been. Um, then I just wanted to know a little bit more about the music. Since I already was a cellist, I thought, let me just continue on this instrument.
Right,
So that was,
there was something. Sorry, I'm sure there must have been some kind of an inspiration. Did you grow up listening to Indian music, or how was your exposure so that
no,
you pick up Indian music as such?
it's still a mystery to me, to be quite honest, because I grew up in a family where we all listened and were really deeply into Western classical music.
Right.
And so that doesn't promote or help openness to other musical cultures, to be perfectly honest. If you're deeply in one classical tradition, you're mostly into that. So I think it was a very fortunate accident in a way that I was exposed during my studies to Indian classical music, and something somewhere connected. There was a deep connection. I don't think at that time I realized that. I just knew that I wanted to know a little bit more, that it was worth researching. I was enjoying it and listening. To me, maybe the best kind of music can communicate to the mind, but also directly to the heart and to the soul. So that is what probably happened. Yeah. And then the deeper you get into it, the deeper and slowly you get pulled into it. So it's a process. It's not at that point of time, okay, now I know I'm going to do this music for the rest of my life. It was a slow, gentle process, and I think I've just been fortunate with the guidance I received from day one, because that is probably the most important, especially as the baby steps within the music. If you find the right guidance, the right mentors, the right gurus, that makes all the difference, of course.
Yeah, we all have aspirations. Very true, Saskia. We do have aspirations, and we would like to learn a particular style of art form, maybe anything. But as you say rightly, if you don't have the proper guidance, I think with the guidance from the gurus, from the teachers, it
Yes.
helps us to groom ourselves, mold our art form, and make us a better human being and a better musician, isn't it?
I certainly hope so. Yes.
Wonderfully put, actually.
Yes, that's
wonderfully put.
beautifully said. Yeah.
Have you tried playing music of any other cultures besides Indian? And how was your experience with that?
Yes, I have. I have. Growing up in Holland, we had in my school we had some gamelan music. I played a lot of klezmer, Jewish instrumental music. I played some other kinds of folk music, but not a deep-rooted classical music style from another culture. Indian music is not the kind of music you can learn a little and really enjoy it. You need to really go full out and full in, just as Western classical music. So it's not, it's a process again, and so I did play different kinds of music.
You've been exposed to different music from different cultures, right, from a younger age. And
Yes.
I know you were destined, or it was a calling that you have to pursue further in detail, in depth, with the Indian classical, one of the Indian classical styles of music.
Probably, definitely. In a way, I think music that way, it's not a profession that we choose. I always say it chooses us in a way, because if you have an openness to learn, then to see where that will bring you, that is the reward in itself.
Yeah, very true, very true. Now, you're certainly a pioneer in your own right. The cello isn't a traditional Indian classical instrument. So, would you actually urge musicians who play what would be deemed as non-traditional instruments to try out music from other cultures?
Absolutely. I always love that when people do that. And when I do workshops in universities, we see students with all kinds of instruments. And I think for string players, there is a lot of lessons, even before you really go into depth into the music. There's a lot to learn from Indian classical music. The way of practicing, the slow kind of progression in practicing our scales, in listening to practice with the drone, with the tanpura, to improve your intonation, to improve modal improvisation skills. There are lots of general lessons to be learned there. So, yeah, definitely, everyone should try and shouldn't be fearful to try it out, especially in Western classical music, there is this huge fear of improvisation, because there's this picture of I'll just start doing whatever comes into mind. And that's obviously not at all the case. That's not what improvisation is about at all. It's making choices out of material that is there already. So these lessons, I think, through Indian music, are really, really very, very effective. And of course, the rich rhythm, especially in Carnatic music, another amazing tool for any music education anywhere in the world. You can apply these lessons.
That's very insightful. I have read that both you and your husband have set up an arts foundation which enriches many young lives in India. Could you tell us what actually prompted you to have this initiative get started? And why do you think music education is important, particularly in young children?
Well, for music, for young children, there's nothing better than music. In terms of the way it communicates, even any lesson learned through a song or any lesson learned through music is something that stays with you for the rest of your life. You may forget, the way maths is taught here, or any put it in a song, or put it in a way that a child can understand and appreciate it. It will remain with them for the rest of their lives. So for sure, music education, and here we say that in a way, music is the most underused subject in the field of education. What music does is just, I think we only know a tiny bit of what the possibilities of music education is. I'm not talking of music learning in terms of that happens at a much later age. But during the formative years, 0 to 9, which is the crucial age for any child, at that age, what music does to building the brain cells itself is something that cannot be done, something very, very, very few other subjects can do. Like, scientifically, if we talk, the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain, and most importantly, the connecting part.
Yes.
Music is the only subject that activates every nerve center of the brain. So, when Saskia was doing her research and she showed me this one, it is of literally Diwali inside the brain happening. All the nerve centers are lit up literally when you're listening to music. So we are very, very, very passionate about it. How we came to it, I think, is a story that Saskia can narrate.
Well, it's again, I think it's our lives together. Always, we live in New Delhi in India, and when our son was very young, we brought him up with all our languages. I'm Dutch, so Dutch. Kannada from Bangalore. Then, of course, in Delhi, Hindi and English is an automatic one. And we lived in a Bengali colony, so Bengali also was on the menu. So all these languages, a child picks them up. They're like little sponges.
Our son Ishan was speaking 5 languages by the time he was 2 years.
Amazing. Oh.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, exactly. And so he also, musically, he had a little play cello, he had a little play sitar, and he was singing all the time. And we wanted him to grow up strong, with a strong foundation in both Indian classical as well as Western classical music. And in Western classical, of course, there's so many beautiful resources for very young children onwards. If you see a recording like Peter and the Wolf, or every orchestra has an early childhood program, there's just so much. Now, then we looked at Indian music, and there was nothing. There was not even, I couldn't even find one small picture of a child playing sitar, which was child-friendly, which Ishan would be able to relate to as a 2 or 3-year-old. And that is where music education starts. So that is when we thought, okay, we need to change this, because otherwise, if we wait until a child is ready for music instruction, either vocal or sitar or veena or mridangam, we wait until that time when they're anytime between 5 and 10 years old, we've actually missed the boat.
Yeah.
We need to catch them much earlier and listen with them, play musical games with them. What people think it's not learning, because we're often so arrogant that we think if we sit down a child and talk at them, that's what they're learning. No, of course not. They play, they imitate, they explore their surroundings. And if in that surroundings there's enough of classical music to explore, they will learn it. So in the same way, we created these games, and you see it in musical families, because there the parents do make a game out of how many ragas can you recognize, and oh, very good. And it's playful, it's fun. So the child, most children who grow up in a musical families already know about 20 ragas by age 3. It's not uncommon at all, because it's playful. They are allowed to explore. Now, if these same musicians get children as students, they change the approach and they make it a formal teaching approach, which obviously it doesn't work yet. So what we have done is that knowledge of musical families combined with early childhood methodologies that are in the West. So like musical instruments, like xylophone. This is the svartara we have created. Very much like the Orff instruments, where you can take out keys and all, and can create all the pentatonic ragas with all the 12 different swaras. So playfulness, and that is what we started, and now, yeah, it is integrated in many schools, and we want to bring it to many more, because this is what we need to be doing for the art. These children, through the story of Tara the sitar in the country of Vadya, and her mother is Saraswati Veena, her father is the Tanpura. Through these stories, they know 25 different musical instruments.
And these young children are able to, because of the way of teaching in a fun way and in a way age appropriate, the children are able to listen to 5 minutes alap with their eyes closed of, say, Sur Bahar, of Rudravina, which otherwise people think is not possible, or rather, children cannot sit. Children can, but in the right dosage and in the right way, and we need to prepare them. So all these books that Saskia has written, we've already published 9 books, all story books, but with so much knowledge that the children enjoy reading it, and they learn through those things.
So are these books available on Amazon, or in case our viewers are interested to?
Yeah,
right now not on Amazon or any other platform, but they can
on our website.
On our website, www.sangeet4all, SANGEET, numerical 4 all, ALL. So it's like music for all, sangeetforall.com. So we have a web shop, and people can buy the books from there. Our idea is, of course, to take it to every child, not just in India, but across the world. Because every child is valuable, and every child learns music from different cultures. I think all these boundaries also will be broken right from an early stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very, very inspiring. So rather than keeping music to a very, very smaller circle, you have taken a huge leap and reached out, and it's all creating an awareness about the methodology, the side of music. Because when you say classical music, it could, as a child, put them off, because they are not aware of once they see a lot of technicalities involved in that. A child of 5 years will not have the patience to sit down and listen to a raga for 10-15 minutes.
Exactly. So you nailed it. You really nailed it.
The way how you have adopted through storytelling and the various other methodologies adopted to create interest in younger children.
Exactly. See, many times it's also the fault of classical musicians, or it's the fault of the seniors, who say, "Oh, this music is so difficult. You need 9 janam lag jayega seekhne ke liye, 9 lives to learn this. When you learn the sitar, it will cut through your fingers and it will bleed." I mean, which 3-year-old, which 5-year-old will want to have his finger cut?
Doesn't sound like fun.
It doesn't sound like fun.
Hyped about it in the very wrong way, I would say, isn't it?
In the wrong way. The music, and for sure, it's the most beautiful tradition. It's the most beautiful, it's so valuable. But the way we teach it, and especially in a classroom scenario, in schools, that is where we need to bring about the change, because Guru Shishya Parampara is accessible to 0.001% of the population.
So it is equal opportunity for all the children. We will give them
Absolutely.
whether they want to take it or not is finally up to them. But
it's not only music is not only a performing art; it's also a sharing art, and it's about to make sure that a child who learns maths is not going to be a mathematician all his life. A child who learns science is not going to be a scientist.
Yeah.
But somehow, if a child learns music or dance or whatever, he or she should become an artist. Not necessarily, because the lessons you learn from learning music and dance and all the fine arts is the backbone of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the work you're doing for community music with choirs and older people with dementia or all of that. It's, I mean, I wouldn't call it performing arts. It's about the sharing arts, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. You realize actually it's our responsibility as an artist, I would put it that way.
Very true.
Yes, and the upliftment that you give others through that kind of work is just wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. Yeah.
So it's really interesting to hear how you started, what made you start this foundation to children, creating an awareness about what the style of music is all about and how to develop that gradually from a very young age onwards. So the lockdown has, in fact, it has helped musicians to explore new ways to reach out music to a wider audience.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be Facebook Live all the time or Instagram Live or whatever. But actually, we are working much more than we used to work before, in a certain sense. Because there's this urge to reach out. There's this urge to, go explode literally. Because that's the need of the day also.
Very true.
Exactly. And in online classes, of course, we can't do a choir. We can't sing or play music at the same time. But listening activities, knowledge about the music, individual one-on-one development, a lot is possible. So we try to look at it from a perspective, what can we do? I prefer any day to be with a student. To be face to face. Student audience, we really, really miss that. It's like, in all honesty, it feels very, very strange. It's not good for artists to be all the time at home. But we make all the best of it and see what we can do. Try to find that introspection and then see how we can work. Yeah.
Amazing. Shubhendra, you are a protégé of Maestro Pt Ravi Shankar, and you represent the Maihar Gharana. Now, can you tell us what exactly is the specialty? Is there something very special that you would like to share with us about Maihar Gharana? I hope I right.
No, absolutely correct. See, Maihar Gharana is, in a sense, a very, very, very special. The reason why we can call it the Maihar Gharana or the Maihar Senia Beenkar Gharana, if we have to explore the full thing, is my Guruji's, Pandit Ravi Shankarji's Guru Baba Alauddin Khan Sahib was, he learned directly from the descendant of Mia Tansen. From Mia Tansen directly through his daughter, and then Baba's main guru was Wazir Khan Sahib, who was a direct descendant of Tansen and blood descendant. So that's why the Beenkar Senia comes into play, being the direct descendants of Tansen. But Baba in his life learned from many different gurus. He was on a quest right from his early childhood to learn music. So any given opportunity, whether it was folk music, whether it was Western music, whether it was percussionists, whether it was traveling musicians, whether it was gypsies, he kept learning and learning and learning. And he took something from everybody that he learned. And he himself could play more than 20 instruments. And finally, when he settled down, and that was when he was invited to be the chief musician in the court of the Raja of Maihar, which is in Madhya Pradesh. It's a small little kingdom in Madhya Pradesh. So at that time, he could then assimilate everything that he had learned all his life, keeping the Beenkar Senia that from Wazir Khan that he learned, keeping that as the center, he could add all the influences that he had all his life. And that took a new dimension by itself. So that became Maihar Gharana. And that's the gharana that he taught his son Ustad Ali Akbar Khan, his daughter Annapurna ji, his son-in-law Pandit Ravi Shankar, his other disciples, whether it was Pandit Nikhil Banerjee, and so many others. But for me, I would also like to add that, Guruji, that is my Guru, Pandit Ravi Shankar ji, in his own, development as a musician, he added so many things into that also. So to the Maihar Gharana of playing, he added his own beauty to it. So that's what I have inherited. And that's what...
A lot of Carnatic influence.
Exactly, a lot of Carnatic influence.
Wow.
I mean, he's the first one who started playing many of the Carnatic ragas. Whether it was Charukeshi, Kirvani, Simendra Madhyam, Vachaspati, so many Carnatic, Janasan Mohini, so many Carnatic ragas, and also the Carnatic style of playing, especially with the rhythm. In the Taniyavartam that happens in Carnatic music, that he brought it into the Hindustani stage. The Sawal Jawab, question and answer, which is actually from the Carnatic. He had huge respect for Carnatic music. In fact, when I was a child, he advised me and he made sure that I learned Carnatic music from one of the greatest Carnatic musicians, T.V. Gopalakrishnan ji.
Oh, okay.
Whom I consider my guru also. So, the Maihar Gharana, and then along with that, the flavor of my guru, and with all the major contributions that he put in, is the flavor of my style of playing.
Fantastic. That's so inspiring.
Yes.
I've read a lot about Pandit Ravi Shankar and Gopalakrishnan. I've had the opportunity, and other artists, blessed to have
Wonderful.
for some time. So
Wonderful.
It's interesting that he's involved, trying to bring in Carnatic music into the Hindustani style of music and incorporate that concept.
To the point that, for many years, 31st December, he would always be in Chennai at Music Academy. Almost every year. So, and people, whether it was Chambe, whether it was Seman Gudiji, whether it was MS, all of them. I mean, even Chambe sir, I believe I was speaking to TVG sir a few days ago, and even he was saying how much Chambe sir used to appreciate the young Pandit Ravi Shankar, and said he is the future of our music.
This is a question for both of you. Do you agree with the idea that music is an international language?
I think it transcends languages. That's why it's a universal language. It's, full circle. It speaks to your heart from heart, from soul to soul. I think Yehudi Menuhin said that.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing that cannot be expressed. There is nothing that cannot be said. There is nothing that cannot be felt as strongly and as deeply as what music does.
Very beautifully put. Thank you. We come to the second segment, which is the lighter side of you. So this is basically an opportunity to show our audience a side of you that not to portray.
Yes.
Saskia, Indian or Italian cuisine?
Such a tough question. Both. I don't like one cuisine every day.
And the next one, that's good. If you had to describe each other using 3 adjectives, what would you say? Saskia, would you like to go first?
Intelligent, kind, musical.
And I'll say beautiful inside and outside, passionate, and very musical.
How do you feel when you hear about younger musicians who claim to be inspired by you?
I feel really, really, really honored and happy. And I feel also there are a few young musicians who are doing really well right now. Maria Nut, a violin player who is a lot playing in Europe. She learned from me in India. A lovely, yes, a lovely cellist, songwriter, Asha McCarthy, who is in the UK, doing also wonderful, beautiful work. So we're already seeing that actually, and makes me feel a little old, but mostly really, really so happy to see that. I mean, amazing, yeah.
I mean, when we grow up, we are inspired by somebody. Somebody is your role model. Somebody is your idol. Somebody you want to, you're growing up. So if somebody else claims that you have inspired, or then we just feel that that's life. That's how life goes. We feel blessed. If we feel blessed, if you are able to do that.
What's the best piece of advice?
I had just played Indian music for 2-3 years by that time. He told me, don't play like any other instrument. Don't play like a singer or a sitar or a flute, but create a cello style that is most suitable for your instrument. So you're creating new things, you need to learn from these different people as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I have to say that, since I spent a long time with since my childhood, since literally from my birth, there are so many things that he has said that I can literally say that it can, go onto my grave. It's an unbelievable lesson. Literally almost every day. But for one just said, Beta, promise me you will never get into drugs. So I was like, he said, I've seen that at such close quarters, and I've seen the damage it does. And you are at an impressionable age right now. So, promise me you'll never take drugs. Let music be your biggest drug. Yes.
Still, I think, you receive advice from him. I mean, so often you wake up and said, I dreamt that I learned either this raga from him, or he told me this, and this is quite regular. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's a beautiful spiritual relationship that exists within you as long as you are alive. Even though the Guru is not there physically, as long as you're alive, the Guru is in you. So that way your Guru is never away from you.
Oh, it's really very. I'm greatly inspired, and I'm sure even those who are watching us today will be equally inspired. Now, when this concludes our chat session for today, I certainly
thank you so much.
The conversation has been as entertaining for you as it has been for me. I had such a lovely time talking to you both. And if you, as the audience, have any questions you would like to be answered by this inspiring couple, please drop in your suggestions in the comments box.
It was a real pleasure, Chithra, getting to be with you and spend this time. And thank you so much for inviting us.
Really wonderful.